everyone, and a very good afternoon. Welcome to Monza for round 2 of the Ferrari Challenge, and we're into race 2 for the Coppa Shell category of cars that are gradually making their way onto the grid. Another fine day here in Monza, supremely warm. In fact, a little bit warmer than yesterday. Here is the calendar for the season then. We've already been to Spain, Valencia. We're here in Monza. A couple of weeks' time, we're off to Budapest. Then it's La Casale Silverstone in the UK, Imola, and of course the glittering World Finals to come in Mugello this year. Looking forward to that. Of course, the World Finals last year were in Daytona in the USA, and what a weekend that was. Will be replicated in Mugello, but this is where we are, Monza then. If traffic is in your favour, we are about 25, maybe 30 minutes from central Milan. It's very much if the traffic is in your favour. This 5.79 kilometre Autodromo di Monza, very, very fast indeed. And the real pinch point, as indeed we saw in the race yesterday, is the very first chicane that the drivers will come across from starting the race. As always, it's a rolling start for the cars in the Ferrari Challenge. All new for this year, of course, the 488 is the car for the Ferrari Challenge, and what a machine it is. The first turbocharged car ever in the Ferrari Challenge. And fascinating insight in the paddock is every single car that has been the competitor's car in the Ferrari Challenge is on display. There's the grid then, and across the front row, von Skeltermayer, Enric Hasid then it's Johnny Lawson and Claudio Schiavone. Good qualifying from Claudio Schiavone. Christoph Herney and Eric Prinot then round out the first 3 rows of the grid before we find Fabienne Volvend, who's the lady racer that is here from the Audi Sport TT Cup, which is what she races in as well, but a guest entry with Octane 126, and we hope we'll see more of her during the course of the year. Vladimir Haladik, Eric Chung, Murad Kuhaduruglu, Tani Hanna, and Rick Lovett then rounding out the next few rows of the grid before we find Ingvar Madsen, Tommy Lindroth, Peter Gerg, Dusan Polkara, Deborah May, another one of the lady racers, and Lim goes from P18 on the grid. Rounded out with Tina Koch, another lady racer for Formula Racing, and Oberthauser goes from P20 for Scuderia Gome, then bringing up the rear of the grid. The heat haze rising off the cars then as you can see them assembled on the grid. It was a supreme qualifying from von Skeltermayer, the Coppa Shell driver, famous for the sharp shark's teeth on the front of his car that will be going from pole position. More from Fons in just a moment. Alongside him then is the 147 car of Henry Hasid driving for Charles Pozzi. 150.262. Very, very impressive time indeed. And there indeed is our pole sitter, von Skeltermayer, going from P1 with a 150.239. So here we are then. Welcome to Monza. Snapshot of where we are then, and von Skeltermayer, as we were talking about, put it on pole position. He finished the race yesterday P6, so he's taken some hurry-up pills overnight and really has put it together in qualifying. Johnny Lawson then, who was supremely successful in Valencia. Well, yesterday he really rather got mugged at the start of the race, and I was talking to him over dinner, and basically he just didn't anticipate the start well enough, and puts it down to him, and he'll be hoping to do good things from P3 on the grid. Claudio Schiavone then for Kessel Racing goes from P4, and they're just some of the fans that are enjoying the race action that will be coming. There's been lots of displays and of course Clienti cars out on track already today, but this is the first race action for Coppa Shell. The race 2, 30-minute race, as always, rolling start for the cars then to take them away for 30 minutes around this very, very fast Monza circuit. Gradually, the crews making the way off the track. Christoph Herney then, very successful day yesterday. As you can see from the graphics, finished second in race 1. It was indeed his first podium. Not surprised by that, showed plenty of pace during the course of the race. So well done to Christoph Herney. See what he can do. He's going from P5 on the grid, perhaps not put it together in qualifying the way that he had hoped, following the fantastic achievement yesterday. Okay, the drivers have been busy when they're not racing, that's for sure. And here we can see the autograph session going on. And needless to say, Fabian Volvend was one of the popular drivers for signing. And there is an awful lot for the Tommaso Roca there and Galapata. Awful lot for the fans to enjoy in the paddock. Drivers, teams taking time out of what is quite a hectic schedule to make sure that photos and posters all passed on to the big group of fans that are here to enjoy this Ferrari Challenge weekend. Delighted to say, alongside me, as we look at Fabian Volvend, who's taken 5th and the Ladies' Cup winner. Let's find out a little bit more about the Ladies' Cup now. Well, at some point we will be telling you more about Fabian Volvend. Basically, she's here with the Octane 126 team and has come up through karting, then into Italian Formula 4, and now racing in a Tin Top Series with Audi, as well as being here in the Ferrari Challenge. I think Fabienne had something to do with that. She didn't want to be in that at all. Well, Fabienne really did a good job yesterday and took P5 in the race and was the winner of the Ladies' Cup race. Incidentally, another Ladies' Cup racer is Manuela Gosler, who sadly is not here this weekend. She's off racing in something else. As we look at Eric Chung now, we had a good time of it yesterday as well, did Eric Chung, and he's going from P9 on the grid today. So we are just moments away from race 1 getting underway. Is race 2 for Coppa Shell then is about to get underway. Something that I know is going to work is the fact that I'm going to say hello, welcome to top GT racer Charlie Hollings alongside me. Charlie, as we look at Tani Hanna, something I wanted to ask you first of all, because you have such great racing experience, this Ferrari 488, what a fantastic car this is to drive.
Absolutely, I've been, welcome first of all, but I've been driving the car this week, earlier in the week, and fantastic round here at Monza, brilliant.
More from Charlie in just a moment.
Monza, to be on pole position, a boy's dream. And we will do it until the end. Go for it, win.
Von Skeltermaat was very best there, Charlie. He was absolutely determined to
very happy, wasn't he?
P1. I mean, P1 in qualifying is damned hard work because, as I explained as we were going through the pre-race features, this is such a fast circuit, Charlie, and this 488 car is a phenomenal car, and the two combined means that it is an extraordinary feat to put that car on P1.
Absolutely. I mean, the lap times this car's achieving now are very close to kind of competitive GT3 times, and the pace of the Shell category especially, I think, is always super impressive. What these guys are doing.
Which we must consider, these are AM drivers, aren't they? They're gentlemen drivers primarily who are racing for fun. They're not professional drivers. And, as you have said, to be posting sort of laps in the 150s is extraordinary.
Yeah, really, really impressive, and obviously for the value of the car and everything else, it's a great package by Ferrari, and really impressive lap time, so it's good to see. Always good racing in this category.
You've driven lots and lots of racing cars. How difficult is it, Charlie, when you go from what has been the car for a number of seasons and you've kind of, you're in tune with it, you've made that car an extension of yourself, and then you move to the next car, which of course in the Ferrari Challenge is now the 488 rather than the 458. It takes a little while, doesn't it, for you to build that relationship with the car that you had in the previous one, presumably?
Yeah, I think the big thing that teams, whether it's the leading Ferrari teams in this series have, whether it's FF Corsa, Kessel, AF Corsa, with the different teams, they've worked with a 458 for such a long period, and they really know that car. They've had a lot of professional drivers driving the car, lots of guys coming through challenge driving the car, so the setups are really, they know every last detail of that car. Obviously they're now working with a new car, and they're just kind of starting a bit back at the initial foundations again, so maybe the car doesn't feel perfect and people are just gaining a little on setup and things like that, and that will keep happening over the course of the year. I'm sure in 2 or 3 years time everyone will be have it perfect. So
just saw a picture of Christian Kinch in the garage. Sadly he's not taking part in the race today. We're on board with Eric Chung now. Here you can see the cars in front, they're weaving from side to side, trying to generate some temperature into the tyres. You would think with such a hot day you don't need to do that, but of course you do, Charlie, it's critical. But it's also to generate some temperature into the brakes as well, isn't it? Because you're going to arrive at that first chicane very, very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously they don't want the tyres to get too hot over a long period. Hot conditions here today in Italy, so in Monza, so you don't want them to get too hot, but you've still got to have enough temperature to have grip on the first lap, especially, as you say, David, with the arriving down into the first chicane on the first lap. The brakes need to be up to temperature and everything else. As you see the cars lined up there, I mean 22 Ferraris behind the Ferrari, looks amazing.
It is going to be amazing. More to come from Charlie Hollings. Delighted to have him alongside us here in comms for the duration of the second race for Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell here at Monza. And the tension is beginning to build. So as we go green then, Von Skeldermark getting an absolutely perfect start there, and he converts that P1 position into P1 in the race. Johnny Lawson is going to be one to very much keep an eye on as he makes his way up the order as well. We've got 3 abreast in some places. Heavy braking now into that chicane. Claudio Schiavone, one of those that's dropped back, so too Eric Prinot, and a number of cars there. Basically, Charlie, they just have to find a way through there, and sometimes it will be an unorthodox way and you're not taken to the tarmac.
Yeah, they all gave each other space there. I know I saw Eric Prinot yesterday's running over the rumble strips, but they all gave each other space and they've all got through, so that's the main thing. Into the second chicane and you often see the same thing, everything tightens up, but we've got a spinner there.
Vladimir Haladik, we were keeping our eyes on there. He was making good progress until this happened, and now he's beached there. Now that car is not going to be out of there, and where that car is situated, Charlie, that's going to cause problems, isn't it? Rick Lovett in car number 112, we can see there. Now his qualifying hasn't gone the way he wanted, but he's been really honest with us and told us that following an off in testing to Ascari, which truthfully, Charlie, really scared him. He said, psychologically, I can't go through Ascari now as I once did because that keeps flashing back to me.
Yeah, and you can understand that with the guys racing at that amateur level. They lose a little bit of confidence. It maybe just takes a weekend or two to gain that game. Maybe even a little private test away from the pressure of race weekend. And I'm sure I'll be back on form next time out.
No question about it. So Fabian Volven then is P8 at the moment. You can see the graphics on the bottom of your screen that keeps us up to speed with where everyone is. But reinforce the fact that Johnny Lawson is going to be the one to watch here, currently in P3. There is Eric Prinot then back down there running in P7. said yesterday, he is the master of Monza. He took the win. Of course, he's perhaps done more laps at Monza than many of the drivers that are on the grid. Has Eric Prenot knows the place like the back of his hand. But at the moment, von Skeltermaar has built an 8th, 10th gap over Henry Hassid, then who is P2. Johnny Lawson is P3. There is Rick Lovett, the man that we were talking about, and he is tucked in behind the lady racer Fabienne Volvend at the moment. And we look back at the 158 car.
Very close, just behind. Yeah, they got through safely, which is good.
So it's now where you really begin to build to go around. That curve around the short is flat, isn't it?
Yeah, nice and easily flat through here. We were just on board there with Eric Chung, who had an impressive podium yesterday, but flat. But at the same time, you realise if a car has an issue there, you realise actually just how fast you're going through there. It's extremely quick.
And then, of course, it's heavy braking into the chicane at effectively turn 3. So there is Rick Lovett then in 1-2. He is the Canadian racer. And Rick Lovett.
Just see now Eric Prenot just slowly creeping away from the car behind and putting a little bit of pressure on the car in front. Obviously yesterday's winner, so it'll be quite interesting to see how he slowly comes through the field possibly as the race evolves.
Yes, and we still have 26 minutes of that race to do. Von Skeltermaar at the moment showing a clean pair of heels to Henry Hassid. He's not making any errors, is he? He's just nailing it all the time, and he's, to be fair, it was 8 tenths. He's lost a couple of tenths somewhere along the line because Hassid, his sector 1 look has been a couple of tenths quicker.
Yeah, so the important thing I would say now for Von Skeltermaar to do is just not look in his mirrors, just do what he's doing, and I'm sure he'll be able to keep that gap. But if he starts driving defensively,
yes,
that's when the problems occur.
Because you do inevitably lose time, don't you?
Yeah, obviously, a Kessel driver just looking into the garage there, but they'll just be kind of that his driver coach will probably be telling him just to stay focused on his reference points. Here we go.
Oh, Hassid just taken a look, wasn't he? So what he is doing is filling von Skeltermaar's rearview mirror with his all-red car. Now that is going to have an effect on Fons. Fons now having to drive quite defensively and make that car as wide as possible as they head towards the Curva Grande. Now absolutely flat through here before it's heavy braking for turn number 3. But inevitably now von Skeltermaar is feeling the pressure, and you can see he's driving in a more defensive style, Charlie.
Yeah, you can just see he just move into the middle of the circuit, but just a little. He's definitely driving in his mirrors now, and he needs to just get his head down now, and got a little bit of a gap to the car to Johnny Larson in 3rd. So
I was then going to say, surely these two fights, that's going to play into the hands of the P3 driver Johnny Lawson, who's no stranger to success. This enables him to get ever closer, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And Henry Hassid there in 2nd. Really important for him now to either try and get the job done and get the move made on Fons, or wait and maybe just go with him for 3 or 4 laps and try and break that gap again to Larson in 3rd, because as soon as he starts a challenge, he's going to have pressure from behind them.
Claudio Scavoni is running in P4. Fastest lap, interestingly, has come from our P2 driver at the moment, who's chasing down von Skeltermaar. Now, it was 8 tenths. It's down to just under 4 tenths now. So Henry really does mean business here, doesn't he? And you would suggest that from the pace that he's showing, that he has got the measure of von Skeltermaar. But what is absolutely critical as they make their way into the Parabolica, which is critical to get the Parabolica right, is that it's all very well being quicker. You've got to find a way cleanly past him.
Yeah, and we can see, I mean, you look at the power of these cars down the straight. One make series, absolutely great. There's going to be no engine gains, no difference in straight line speed. So as long as Fons can make good exits from the corners, like Parabolica, for example, he knows he'll be fine into the first corner, into the first chicane.
284 kilometres per hour through the speed trap then for Henry Hassid, then, who is running in P2 and chasing down our race leader, who is the Kessel driver von Skeltermaar. Now, it's really, really interesting as we watch these on their lap, and that's a spin for Eric Prenot, and he's out onto the gravel now. He's going to be able to get the car back onto the tarmac. Be interested to find whether that was a mistake on his own or whether there was an assist there. Can't see any damage on the back of the car.
Yeah.
Well, there wasn't it? Murat just caught him. But in fairness, that was a bit of a bold move, wasn't it, by Eric?
Yeah, I don't think anyone was being malicious with that or anything. I think Eric just obviously saw him have his little moment and sort of sneak by and was just that lightest contact, and that's all he needs. But here the battle is definitely on at the front now.
you know, the lightest contact is enough to unsettle a car, isn't it, Charlie? Particularly at the speeds you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much. The cars are right on the limit of grip anyway, so that little bit of a tap can make a big difference. You can see into Ascari there. Shelton's really defended there. And this is going to lose him on the run out of Ascari to the Parabolica. So,
and this you have to almost set up a move going into what is the first chicane from the very last chicane, don't you? Because it's here, it's your exit of Parabolica. This is where you start that move, isn't it, Charlie?
Yeah, absolutely. You're just working ahead, trying to force a mistake, and it might take 2, 3, 4 corners even to make the move happen. But you've got to. You can see now that Henry Hassey's focused on his exit there, and he's got a better run out of the corner. That started from the Ascari chicane, you know, so he's building up.
Yeah.
And he might have the opportunity now. I think
he's closer, isn't he?
Yeah, and he's definitely got a run now. Let's see what happens.
So this is the fight for the lead that we're watching between Henry Hassey and Fons Skelterma. Hassey then to the right-hand side of Fons Skelterma. Fons will have the inside going in, but Hassey is closer than he has been, but he's still denied by the Sharks team fronted Fons Skelterma car at the moment. What is interesting, the pace of these two now as they fight. Lawson is not actually catching as quickly as I thought he would. Now that was going into the first chicane, wasn't it?
Yeah. I'm not going to comment until we've seen that again. Hopefully we'll see what happens.
Now that's Murat Kuhardaroglu in the 133 car. Hopefully he is okay, but that was fast into there, that's for sure. Meantime, this lead battle continues to rage. Johnny Lawson perhaps now is beginning to reel them in, but again, Henry Hassey closer than he has been as he continues to pound the Fons Skelterma car. So there's Murat Kuhardaroglu, and that's Fabian Volvend.
Yeah, it's difficult to know if he's just maybe the car in front's braked slightly early, the key's out-braked himself, and here we go, a bit more of a
from here perhaps.
Replay. Such a big braking zone down here, it's so easy to...
So Fabienne, to be fair, she's kind of out on her own, isn't she? Now, sadly we didn't follow that picture all the way through. It looked to me like where Fabienne was in comparison to where Murat was. The Murat was just carrying too much speed.
Yeah, just slightly up the safety car. Yeah, so obviously clearing up carbon fibre, debris, all sorts of bits, and what was the safest thing to do? Control everything.
In this situation, Mr. Hollings, when it comes to Fons Skelterma, will this be a sigh of relief that there's a safety car, or will it make it worse for him?
I actually think probably this is a little bit worse for him at the moment, because although he's having a lot of pressure from Henry Hassey, he was actually doing a very good job, and their pace was good from the other cars. At the same time, he knows now if he focuses, which I'm sure his driver coach will be talking to him about, if he focuses on a good exit from Parabolica, on the restart of the safety car, it's Henry Hassey that's also going to be starting to get pressure from Johnny Larson. So it's
everyone gets bunched back up, don't they?
Pros and cons to it for him, I would say, but. I think he was actually in a reasonable rhythm, even though he was having pressure. But he's got an opportunity to break away with the safety car. There's also an opportunity for Henry Hassey and Johnny Larson to have a bit more of a go at him. So
probably the real beneficiary of this is going to be Johnny, isn't it? Because he wasn't seemingly breaking down that gap.
See the Kessel pit wall there. They're obviously talking about what their plan is with the drivers and how to monitor their restarts.
We haven't got a shot yet of course, Fons' driver coach is Nicky Cadai. I'm still convinced I've seen Nicky this weekend, actually. I think perhaps I have. But anyway, yeah, you're absolutely right. Tommy Lindroth, who is currently running down there in P11 behind Dusan Pulcra. Start.
And it's a great start, actually.
All very disciplined, weren't they, going through that roller cup? All gave, as you made the point, gave each other racing room, which is critical, isn't it? You know?
Yes, you can see here, I mean, just the nature of the corner, Monza, such a long straight, it tightens up, second gear chicane, it's going to always create possible incident, so we've just got to give the car in front alongside you space, everyone fight their way through, and see bouncing over the curbs, everything else, but get through there safely and get on with the race then.
So that was Vladimir Hladik who was going around, and that was Fabian Volvend and Murat. So Fabian had got past Murat Kuhardaroglu then at the Parabolica.
Yes.
She's okay, we can see her walking away,
fine.
thankfully. But she's not going to achieve the podium that she did yesterday, sadly. Okay, so she'd got past Murat then around the parabolica, and that's why she was ahead of the 133 car. Back onto the Kessel pit wall then. So Murat and Fabienne, both of them are okay. So you, as driver coach, how, during this safety car phase, how often will you be talking to your driver just to keep his dander up, as it were?
Yep, so, the basic stuff, once you gain experience of racing, they know, keep temperature in the tyres and things, but there may be certain scenarios, like here, obviously the temperature is very high here today at Monza. You may need to actually kind of come away from weaving to try and let the tyres cool down a little bit. So little things, you can see Giacomo Piccini there, his brother Andrea next to him there, they'll be talking to their drivers, will be saying, watching the safety car lights, various things will just be monitoring, stay on the racing line, don't pick up marbles and rubbish on your tyres, which is easy to do, wander offline when you're behind a safety car, and then just little things, reminders more than anything.
Just saw Ingvar Madsen then, he's out of the race, sadly. He's out of the car, but you could just see how hot it must be inside the car, because Ingvar has only done half the race, hasn't he? And he's out of the car now. Sadly, the car is in the pit lane, and you could just see he was dripping, wasn't he? It's hot.
Yeah, I mean, I was out in this 488 on Wednesday and around here, and I must say, it's got a great air conditioning system in the car. Actually, one of the best I've ever had it. But you wear your helmet, obviously, you've got your race suit on, you've got all these layers. It's still 28, 30 degrees outside, so you're always going to be hot and sticky by the end of it. And bearing in mind, these guys, before the race has even started, have probably been in the car for 15, 20 minutes, going up, getting all the kit on, going up to the grid, laps. So there's a lot of adrenaline, so you do find the sweat starts to come, even if the car's quite cool inside.
Well, no message yet on when the safety car is coming in. You can see that the car there still being recovered. We're on board with the Hublot safety car. Looking back then at our race leader, von Skeltermaier, who's led from the off, but he has been under pressure from Henry Hassid. And Johnny Lawson is P3. Claudio Schiavone is P4 with Christoph Herney P5. Eric Chung is P6.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, lost the car in the braking.
So Fabienne really was an innocent bystander in that. In fairness, Murat, at that point you're a passenger, aren't you, Charlie?
Yeah, it's hard to know exactly. It was obviously lost the car in the braking, and just a really unfortunate incident. But it's hard to know exactly why. Maybe even a puncture or something just as he's hit the brakes. It's strange for the car to swerve so much, but it's hard to just make a complete judgment on that.
There, the positions on the left-hand side of your screen, and we also saw the reaction of Ingvar Madsen, who of course was out of his car at that point, in his garage, and poor old Fabienne, she'd done the hard work through overtaking through parabolica, and she then got collected by the Murat car there through certainly no malicious intent at all. It was just one of those things, as Charlie says, we can't be sure why that car, the back end just seemed to snap, didn't it?
Yeah, possibly just got on the marbles a bit, braking and turning at the same time. You're coming from nearly 300 kilometres an hour before you hit the brakes there, around 150, 170 metre board. 150 to 170 metres away from the corner. So it's a massive braking zone. So maybe just the load and maybe caught a bump slightly. It's hard to make, as I say, a complete judgment of it.
A point I often make on the air, and this is something as a driver that you'll be able to say whether I'm correct or incorrect, is when you see a car coming off or going off the circuit, perhaps running into the gravel or whatever, and then dumps a load of that gravel on the track, presumably that really does affect those drivers that are following, who suddenly end up on all these stones that have been carelessly brought back. Yeah,
absolutely. The kind of level of grip drops and rubbish gets brought in from the outside. You see the marbles there just on the exit of the parabolica. You can really see all the tyre rubber flicking up. Here, we're going green.
We are going racing. Safety car is in, and von Skeltermaier really feeling the pressure now of Henry Hassid, and also Johnny Lawson is in the mix as well. Claudio Schiavone is going to try and take advantage also, so they are side by side going into the chicane. Von Skeltermaier then just manages to shut the door on Henry Hassid. Johnny Lawson is right in there also. He'll be sensing there's a real opportunity now, and if Johnny Lawson, if he just lets these two fight ahead of him, perhaps part of the job is going to be done for him. But he's running in P3. There's the Vladimir Hladic car we just saw there. Johnny Lawson taking a look at the inside of Henry Hasid. Hasid is in this real position now where he's hunting and being hunted, Charlie.
Yeah, this could help, but as I say, Skeltermeyer didn't make a great start, but he made a really good effort through the first chicane because he slowed it down in the middle, got a good exit, and he's kind of broken away. But again, even now you see the first two seem to just be creeping away from Johnny Larson. Even back then they seem to have that little bit more pace. But let's see if Larson starts having a go at Henry Hasid in a moment.
So as the cars make their way then after the safety car period, we are back to racing then. 12 and 3/4 minutes of the race still to come. Fons Skeltermeyer is leading. He is under pressure from Henry Hasid. And Hasid then brakes hard. And just taking a look, there was Tani Hanna, who's currently running down there. And this is Eric Prinot. He's had a interesting race so far, hasn't he?
Yeah, a bit ambitious there, just kind of sticking his nose down the inside, but he did actually back out of it, lots of experience, and kind of prevented any incidents from happening. So here we go, a little bit of pressure now, and I think Johnny Larson's going to have a good run. Yeah, you see, he's got the power well, got the exit.
So these the fight that's going on for P1, 2 and 3 at the moment from Fons Skeltermeyer, Henry Hasid and Johnny Lawson then as they head up towards that chicane once again. And Fons Skeltermeyer then, which way does he go? Look at the car, the front end really compresses under braking, really heavy braking.
Big move down in.
Claudio Schiavone and Christoph Herney having a real battle there, and Claudio Schiavone ended up losing out. Eric Chung was in that mix as well.
Yeah, sorry, I was just looking out to the window in front of Eric Prinov just drove down the pit lane, so he's maybe out of the maybe some contact there, or maybe even a penalty or something. Came up on the screen.
Fons Skeltermeyer, I have to say, is really driving well here in terms of defending. He's been under pressure virtually from lap 1, but he's not yielded to that pressure. He's not made an error.
He's just run slightly
commentator's curse there.
The Lesmo there, hasn't it? But no, absolutely, he's just focused on getting good exits, getting out of the corner well. If you can get a good exit out of Lesmo 2 on the run down to Ascari, get out of Ascari well, get out of Parabolica well, I think you've pretty much got most of the lap covered.
Eric Chung and Claudio Schiavone getting together there with some panel rubbing between the two of them. So once again, Henry Hasid then piles the pressure on Fons Skeltermeyer, but Fons resists now very fast through this. I mean, I cannot, having never done it, I cannot imagine what it must be like to fly through that Ascari.
Oh, it's such a nice sequence of corners through Ascari chicane and out, and Parabolica leading onto the pit straight. Just great. Every lap we do around was really lovely. See that Skeltermeyer again, just maybe a little bit deep in, and see Larson's got much. Hasid has got much tighter line exiting. It gets him the drive out of the corner, and that's again he's got him good onto the straight. So.
You picked up that Eric Prinot was down the pit lane. He's got a drive-through penalty. That's why served that really straight away, didn't he? Even before we got notification of it. But now
he's going for it. Yeah.
So Hasid closes the door. He does manage to scrub the speed off, and in fairness, that was a really clean overtake.
Yeah, really good move. And Skeltermeyer, to be fair to him, defended but just gave enough space. And I think he's kind of possibly thought in his head maybe my time was coming here, and he can't take the pressure anymore. But you can see Henry Hasid already just kind of breaking away a little bit. Doesn't really need to defend into there, which kind of place the car in the middle of the road a little bit. But now he just needs to get his head down, and I think you'll see him kind of disappear into the distance a little bit.
He certainly seems to have the pace advantage, doesn't he? So there is Fons Skeltermeyer, sadly now relegated to P2. Johnny Lawson will see the Sharks car ahead of him, and he'll be sniffing the opportunity to convert P3 into P2.
Interesting thing I've just seen, the first sector, Henry Hasid is just now actually gone purple, the fastest first sector of the race, even overtaking that car. So you can see he's brake late and gained the time, and even with the overtaking maneuver, he's still in the fastest first sector. So that's an opportunity. That's definitely out of the race.
So his drive-through penalty is somewhat academic, isn't it? And there's Fons' partner, as Fons is now under pressure from Johnny Lawson. This is the fight going on for P2. P2 now. Johnny Lawson trying to find a way past von Skeltermaar. So again, is there a right line here, or does the line just alter dependent upon your position in the race and what you're doing, whether you're defending or attacking?
No, obviously you want to be using the exit as much as possible out of there to carry momentum onto the main straight. I think also one thing that's worth noting, I think maybe Skeltermaar's maybe used his tyres a little bit harder in that first half of the race, defending, and maybe just overheated them a little bit, and maybe that's going back to the other drivers a little bit now.
Lawson is all over the back of the 177 car, so Johnny Lawson now desperately trying to find his way past the Kessel Racing von Skeltermaar car as they make their way through Curva Grande now, and then head up towards the next heavy braking section, which is for another chicane. There is Henry Hasse then doing exactly as Charlie suggested he would, just disappearing up the road. Von Skeltermaar once again is having to turn to defending. 2 seconds margin that Hasse has built already.
Lap and a half. So it's definitely von Skeltermaar definitely struggling now. I think probably more with the tyres and everything. Obviously the heat's built up during the day. So let's see it. And it's also just bringing Ernie into the back.
You're
now.
right.
Look just behind. I haven't really noticed that, but you look behind now. It's basically it's a 3-car battle for second place.
Yes, Christoph Ernie, who was successful in the race yesterday, taking P2, can fancy an opportunity of another podium here. Von Skeltermaar at the moment is the cork in the bottle, but he's defending to the best of his ability, which is pretty strong at the moment. Johnny Lawson runs really wide there. The back end of the car steps out. That allows Christoph Ernie to get a little bit closer to Johnny Lawson, but here comes Lawson now on von Skeltermaar. This is the fight for P2, going into the Parabolica now. Lawson back in behind the von Skeltermaar car. Now, Charlie, when you're running so close behind a car, obviously you are in slightly turbulent air that's coming off the car ahead of you. Sometimes does it pay just to pull out and lose that little lift that you've got?
Yeah, it can do. Obviously, cars with higher downforce, it definitely does. The 488 does have more downforce than the 458, but it's not critical. It's not critical with pulling out. You don't lose a huge amount of aero speed, so it's not the end of the world if you don't.
Well, Lawson now is under real pressure from Ernie, so Lawson again is in this position where he's hunting and being hunted at the same time, because Christoph Ernie getting very, very close as they went into that first chicane. So it's a 3-way fight for P2 at the moment, but the more, of course, Lawson has to defend from Ernie, the better it is for von Skeltermaar, who's able to get up the road. There's Vladimir Hlading then, and that's the reason we were watching him, because that was getting it wrong, presumably.
Yes, and he's going to come round. Yeah, we're going to see the rest of that now. Braked a little bit deep going in by the look of it, ran a little bit wide and tried to jump on the power. Huge amount of torque and power with these cars now, so I think the rears just started to go around as he's got on the throttle.
So Skeltermaar then, at the moment, he's got another 5 minutes of this acid boat. 4 seconds now up the road. This has been released from that all-white car. He really has been able to deliver some incredible pace, and in fairness to Hasse, he was pushing Skeltermaar for the first half of the race, so he was having to work really hard as well, but the car has just got the pace, hasn't it?
Yeah, he seems to be seems to have a really good balance there, and just a very experienced driver actually from other levels of racing and things, so I think he's definitely used some of that experience in this race.
So Lawson again now will try and use the exit of this Parabolica to get as close as he possibly can to von Skeltermaar. Ernie is trying to do the same on Lawson, of course. It's the fight for P2, 3 and 4 that you're watching at the moment. Ernie all over the back of the Johnny Lawson car now. Sadly, we didn't stay with that. There is Deborah Mayer, who is the leader in the ladies' race.
Here we go.
Ernie on the inside of Lawson then, and he's got the job done, hasn't he?
Yeah, so that's a podium. So that's worked out perfectly for Skeltermaar at the moment, because that just gives him a fraction of breathing space.
Yeah.
However, he's got through the corner pretty quickly, and then he's right there with him already, isn't he? So,
So Christoph Ernie then, buoyed with the confidence of the podium performance and podium appearance yesterday, is on that podium now, but it's the step 3, he wants step 2, and to do that he needs to get past von Skeltermaar. Do what Johnny Lawson thus far had been unable to do.
Yeah, I think Johnny Lawson obviously probably has certainly got a little bit more pace there than von Skeltermeyer in this race, but just not enough to make an impact. So when he does get close to him, a few tenths, as long as the driver in front does a good job with his exits and everything else, as we talked about, is a mover game. But as long as, I don't think the speed difference is enough. But definitely Herney now his car's coming good and he's looking strong at the end of this race.
That was a really good move by Herney, wasn't it? And he'd set that up, as you say, with the exit of the Parabolica. He'd just got the slight pace advantage, hadn't he?
Yeah, nice and clean, got the car alongside, slowed down nicely for the first chicane and good exit, and he was, no issues at all.
So, final 3 minutes of the race then, and von Skeltermeyer holding on for everything he can, that P2 position at the moment. Just see Eric Chung in the distance behind Johnny Lawson, who's running in P5 at the moment. Through Parabolica they go once again, and I'd say that Herney is not quite close enough to von Skeltermeyer to perhaps have a go on this occasion.
No, definitely not, I would say, unless something big happens. But these cars don't really pick up much of a tow, much of a slipstream, but they will kind of help tow the other car in a little bit behind them. But ultimately, you can just see just a little bit far behind them by the time we got to the braking area.
So Skeltermeyer through that chicane then in the 177 car for Kessel Racing. Christoph Herney then to the Scion engineered machine that is currently running in P3. And those two really they seem to have left Johnny Lawson a little bit in their wake there. Johnny just hasn't quite got that pace, has he?
Yeah, and if you actually look, Eric Chung's just closing up on Johnny Lawson just behind. So it just seems to be struggling at this stage of the race. Hassid,
who is leading by some 5.7 seconds. Experienced racer, as Charlie has suggested. Then it's von Skeltermeyer, then it's Christoph Herney, then it's Johnny Lawson, Eric Chung, Tanny Hanna, Rick Lovett, Dusan Pulcra, Tommy Lindroth, and Deborah Mayer is the best of the ladies, and is P10 of the race overall. So there, von Skeltermeyer under braking then. Again, being pressured enormously by Christoph Herney, but not losing out to that pressure. Across the timing line with 1 lap to do. There is Eric Chung, who, as Charlie mentioned, getting ever closer to Johnny Lawson. The gap between them is just on a second, isn't it, between Johnny Lawson and Eric Chung?
Yeah, teammates as well there, so
of course.
There's not any final minute dramas or anything, which I'm sure there won't be, but always good for that. I think also you look Fons Skeltermeyer, he's had a car in his mirrors from the first corner of this race, whether it's been in first or second position. I think he's probably just kind of relaxed into it a little bit now, and he is slightly defending, but he's just positioning the car well, getting good exits, and I think he's actually settled down into a good pace now, so I think he's pretty safe unless there's no big mistakes.
Yeah, and Fons, in fairness, tends not to make mistakes. And Herney has dropped back a bit now, hasn't he? And again, presumably Christoph Herney, who has fought all race long, hasn't he, in attack mode? He will have taken everything out of the car with the back marking one there, but that does exactly the right thing. It gets out of the way and allows von Skeltermeyer and Christoph Herney through.
Yeah, never ideal when the back marker gets caught in on the final lap, which is just circumstances have done everything you can to get out of the way there. So
took to the curb.
So there's nothing you can see now. So Herney's right on Skeltermeyer. So it's just the last thing you want as a driver, just when you think I'm settled and it's the final lap of the race or final laps to overcome some traffic. It's never ideal.
Inevitably, we're going to have to follow Henry Hassid as he heads towards the checkered flag, but we keep a weather eye on the battle that is going on for P2 as well, because perhaps the back marker has just allowed a little bit of an opportunity for Christoph Herney to get closer once again as they fly through that Ascari now. Whether Herney can do anything, I think it's perhaps too late. Henry Hassid should be trouble-free around the Parabolica and head towards the checkered flag. And it's been the defensive driving race of his life, I should think, for von Skeltermeyer. First of all, having to defend the P1 position, which does go to Henry Hassid. He takes the win. Checkered flag falls. Von Skeltermeyer will take P2 from Christoph Herney. Then it will be Johnny Lawson, P4. Eric Chung, teammate, has... to Johnny Lawson, he takes the look at that, door straight open. There's Fon's partner in there congratulating. I mean, in fairness, he did jolly well to hold on to that, didn't he? Because there were times when Herney, you would have said was going to come any second, you know, but he managed to defend. He was able quite to look. Hassi actually finished 7.3 seconds.
Yeah, really impressive. I think Hassi, car, driver, whatever, his package was definitely just that little notch ahead of the other guys today. But Fons Keltmar did a great job to get second.
Deborah Mayer will be on the podium as the best of the ladies. Well done to her. In car number 108, she actually finishes the race P10 in the race overall, but takes the win for the ladies' cup as our race winner. Henry Hassi then done a phenomenal job in that car with however good Charlie said the air conditioning is. It's still alright. Get a bit of air in there. Well, just everything about that, as you say, it was the package, wasn't it? The drive of the car, everything was just spot on.
He was obviously a lot, got some nice replays, but he was a lot quicker at the start, but he didn't get carried away, just sat in there, took bided his time, and then, nice clean move and won the race comfortably.
So Christoph Herney then, as we take super slow-mos of the P3, 2 and 1. Fons Keltmar takes P2 then. I'm satisfied with that podium, to be fair. And Henry Hassi then. Race win for him here at Monza. Deborah Mayer takes the ladies' cup win. And you'll see Deborah Mayer up on the podium as well, joining the gentlemen that are up there for P1, 2 and 3. Only a couple of weeks for these drivers to relax now before we head off to what is a very, very different circuit, Charlie Hollings.
Budapest. Yeah, very tight and twisty. Nearly like a go-kart track. You know, it's great fun, tight, twisty, but the ultimate opposite to a Monza with a long straight. So see who performs on the day when they get over there.
Henry Hassi takes the win from Fons Keltmar, Christoph Herney, Johnny Lawson, Eric Chung. Then it was Tanny Hanna, Rick Lovett, Dusan Pulchra, Tommy Lindroth. Good result for Tommy to take P9. Then Deborah Mayer, the best of the ladies, and finishes P10 in the race overall as well. Vladimir Hladik that came in P11. And then it was Tina Koch, another of the lady racers, P12. Then it was Liam Obitauser, Schiavone. Horrid race, to be fair. And then we lost Prenok Gerg, Ingvar Madsen, also Fabienne Volvend and Murat Kumaroglu, as we saw in that instant, as the car is parked up ahead of the P1 board now for Henry Hassi. He'll be on the top step of the podium. Charlie, thank you ever so much for being with us. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, another exciting race.
And motivate your drivers ready for your Trofeo Pirelli race to come. So best of luck with that. Thank you very much, Charlie Hollings. Grateful for him sharing time to be with us on air here. And to say the drivers that he coaches out in Trofeo Pirelli race a little bit later this afternoon. So there is Christoph Herney then from Team Zenith Sion Lausanne. Makes his way out of the car. P3. Back on the podium again, and just see in the background the Deborah Mayer car.
It was great again. Something to gain.
Fons Keltmar, it was great again. Well done, Fons.
Well done. Perfect, thank you.
Nicky.
And there is Nicky Kadai. There was I saying, I'm not sure I've seen him across the weekend, and there he
I don't want to
is.
take the risk.
For Kessel Racing, he is Fonz's driver coach, and let's take a look at the challenge show right now.
Still something to win.
We'll be heading up to the podium very, very soon. And up there we will see Henry Hassid, von Skeltermar, Christoph Herney, and Deborah Mayer as well. So drivers being ushered off towards the podium right now. And a goodly number of people here to enjoy not only the sunshine, but the fantastic race action to come from the Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell drivers that we've seen on track, and a race for the Trofeo Pirelli drivers to come up a little later this afternoon. And there is Deborah Mayer, who will be up on the podium as the best of the ladies. Well done, Deborah Mayer, for Kessel Racing.
Great, Deborah. Congratulations. Thank you. We'll go for the podium.
Being congratulated by Marco there and ushered up towards the podium, which is being readied as we speak. It's literally just a couple of steps away from our commentary position here. In the Drivers' Championship then, it's Johnny Lawson on 59 points, Rick Lovett on 46, same number of points as Eric Chung, and Christoph Herney is on 37 points now, so it's a tie over the first 4 or 5 places of the Drivers' Championship in the Coppa Shell part of the Ferrari Challenge. And as I mentioned, all the information at races.ferrari.com, and just a couple of weeks before we head off to the next track, which is Budapest, in this fabulous calendar that we have this year, which includes not only Budapest, but then it's off to La Casale and Silverstone, Imola, and of course the glittering World Finals in Mugello. So, second page of the Drivers' Championship screen for you to see. And there is the podium, which of course here at Monza elevates across the track. It's a fantastic podium here. And there to the very left of your picture is Ronnie Kessel, who runs the Kessel racing team. And there is Fabienne Volvend, who of course sadly ended up out of the race with a DNF, having been collected by Murat Kuhardaroglu. Which was sad to see, but nonetheless her debut weekend in the Ferrari Challenge has been one to remember, and hope very much that she will be back as been here with the Octane 126 team, and I think that continue her Ferrari Challenge racing, we will see. So some super slow-mos there of Deborah Mayer, the winner of the ladies race. And there is Nikki Kadai, just awaiting the drivers to appear on the podium. You can see that they've made their way up to the assembly area behind the podium, and the podium ceremony will be got underway very, very soon. So a reminder to you, all the information with regards to the Ferrari Challenge is available to you on their website, races.ferrari.com. You'll find lots of information about this phenomenal 488 Challenge car. And also some information about the calendar, the series, the drivers, the personalities behind it, everything that you could possibly need to know. Stefano Lai here to make trophy presentations, it would appear. As we see the assembly area there behind the podium. Christoph Herney, von Skeltermar, and here comes the race winner Henry Hassid then onto the top step of the podium. And Deborah Mayer then, the best of the ladies, and national anthem time. Baseball caps go back upon. Stefano Lai, then, the Ferrari Communications Senior Vice President, makes the trophy presentations here on the podium. First of all to Christoph Herney, then to von Skeltermar. Then it will be Henry Hassid then. Holds his trophy aloft. Team's trophy then going to the Charles Pozzi team, and then of course gentleman driver trophy also for Henry Hassid. Well, Deborah Mayer been waiting at the end of the podium for ages, but now she does get her Ladies' Cup trophy. So well done, Deborah Mayer.
Together, please.
Together for the photographs now, and there you can see the podium that extends right over the pit lane, and then just onto the circuit as well. All the drivers get together then for the mandatory photograph up there on the podium. And Skeltermar is going to be the quickest with the with the champagne, that's for sure. Well done, Fons. You may not have won the race, but you won the race to uncork the bottle. The next race, Trofeo Pirelli Race 2, then at 13:35 GMT, as you can see on screen. Make sure you join us for that if you possibly can. Some more great race action to come from the Ferrari Challenge here at the Monza circuit. Merrily is the opening round for the Ferrari Challenge, but this year such the demand for the 488 cars that had to race in the Spanish circuit of Valencia. Monza becoming number 2 on the calendar. Such was the demand for the new 488 car. Let's have a look at the highlights now. So as the cars made their way off the grid then, it was, as always, that big pinch point going through this particular chicane. It was von Skeltermar that converted the P1 in qualifying to P1 in the race. Eric Prinot and Marek Ruharlu getting together there, and Fabian Volven, lady racer, managing to get past the 133 car though, going into that chicane. Unfortunately, Fabienne was collected by the spinning 133 car. Von Skeltermar had done a stock job in defence. He was really coming under pressure from Henry Hassid. Eventually, Henry would make it stick and did get the overtake done going into the chicane. Lawson then fancied his chances to convert P3 to P2, but wasn't to be. The chicane was also looking very lively, and the leader in the Ladies' Cup was the 108 car of Deborah Mayer. So Johnny Lawson fell prey then to the 162 car of Christoph Herney, who would occupy the final step on the podium, but Skeltermar absolutely determined to keep it together for the second step, and did take P2. So the winner, Henry Hassid, P2, von Skeltermar, P3 was Christoph Herney. That's it from Monza, from Coppa Shell. Make sure you join us for the next Coppa Shell race. But the Trofeo Pirelli race comes up later this afternoon. Bye-bye for now.